Welcome to the 42 Podcast, where we discuss life together, looking for answers to life, the universe, and, well, everything else. Here are your hosts, Rob and Lindsay.
Good morning.
Morning, Lindsay.
Hey. How you doing?
Good. You're being like a slow morning person this morning.
I know. My kids got up pretty early.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm over here, I feel like I'm bouncing off the walls and hyper, and maybe I shouldn't drink this cup of caffeine, but you know what? I'm going to.
I'm a little out of routine this morning, so it's throwing me off a little bit, but I'm ready for you.
Yeah. So how's the reading going?
Well, honestly, so I powered through that book I told you about last week, Essential Philosophy, How to Know What on Earth is Going On by Stephen Molyneux, and I raved about it because it has some really cool things to say. However, he comes off as super snooty and like he's throwing a tantrum or something. Like he's really kind of annoying and a little hysterical. So He basically proposes a system of morality apart from Christianity and biological evolution, sort of apart from anything like that, called universally preferred behavior. And so it was interesting. It's just like halfway through he gets fussy. And I didn't agree with everything he said, for sure. But it was interesting. So I know I recommended it really strongly last week, so I just don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. It was kind of annoying, but there was some gems in there. Like I highlighted a bunch of stuff. It's just, he was annoying. So. Yeah,
well, so you can never be careful, or too, I don't want to phrase this.
Don't be careful.
All right. To a degree, there's that. I mean, if you're going to enter into any kind of field of study, I don't think there's a danger in reading multiple perspectives, because those multiple perspectives are going to be what's coming at you, what's being asked, what's being questioned, and there's no reason not to read and understand a perspective that is different. Mm-hmm. It's just, how being secure in your position, being able to move, being able to grow, but just, being secure.
Yeah.
Growth isn't hopping around from idea to idea. Growth is consideration. Growth is understanding. So.
Yeah, yes, that's very good. And I'm trying to do better at not rejecting things in a knee-jerk kind of way, because I think that's a human condition to just be like, no, but
well, and that is a very easy thing to do, and then draw a line in the sand and say these are the cultural others. They're don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
now I will say this. In philosophy and morals and ethics, it is very hard to establish a system of philosophy, moral, and ethics away from the traditions of society, which, Western tradition, we're a Judaic Christian, and what we have is good, solid foundations.
Yeah.
We can all agree, killing is bad. And maybe there's a small, 1% that wants to say killing can be good. Let's just start here, killing is bad.
Yeah.
And the Judeo-Christian says, well, we understand killing is bad because God, whereas anything outside of that is trying to say, well, why do we understand killing is bad?
Yeah. Yes.
And there's a hard factor in that, because people want to divorce themselves from that Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
But when you get to that end stop of, well, why is killing bad? There's some moral gymnastics, or mental gymnastics, not moral gymnastics.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some mental gymnastics that don't always play out well if your intention is to move away entirely and divorce yourself from it. If you can look at it and build your philosophy in and say, well, we can understand societally, and here's why. We may not agree with the end conclusion, but it helped give us a foundation to work from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those have been the moral philosophies I've dealt with that they're founded on Judeo-Christian and the society understandings, but they're not like, yay, we have to follow everything that's Judeo-Christian. Those have been the best parallel arguments I've ever seen.
Interesting. That might be something worth discussing, because I would love to compare and contrast moral philosophy at some point, because I have read about how could it be that morality is derived from biological evolution, and it's kind of compelling, and I would like to hear your perspective on that and how, and yeah, that'd be a cool conversation.
Yeah, it will be. I need some time to prepare. I know I took undergraduate, I took an ethics class, and that class, I took Greek and Hebrew and did okay with those. Ethics, I was laying on the ground just wanting to tap out, because it's, what in...
Yeah.
I get it, we need to be good, but
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about philosophy yet. We're getting there. We're going to. That's going to be one we need preparation for.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I need to do some reading. More reading.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But yes, we will have a conversation about that. That's more than the 5 minutes at the beginning. But what are we talking about today, Lindsay?
So today we're going to be doing some conversation about conspiracy theories.
Yes, we are. And what do you think about conspiracy theories?
Well, for the record, I have to say that my dear friend Rob's just put on an aluminum hat.
Well, yeah. If the government wants to hear what I think about conspiracy theories, they need to listen to the podcast, not get the thoughts right out of my head. Because this 50-cent tinfoil hat will foil all alien and government I can't even say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I was 5 minutes late this morning. I had coffee and craft time.
Aww. Well, it looks wonderful. You did a great job.
Yeah, I know. It's very stylish. I was going for like the kind of chef hat look with this. Not the big poofy chef hat, but like the sleek, modern, tight to the head.
Yeah.
And then my kids saw me walking around the house with a tinfoil hat on, and they're like, maybe it's time we get an update for Dad. Take care of that later tonight. Just smother him with a pillow.
I wrote some stuff down, but I would love for you to go first. You go ahead and just tell me your thoughts, and how deeply rooted are you in conspiracy theories, and do you have a favorite?
Oh, I think, well, let me ask you this. What is the value and the purpose of a conspiracy theory?
Okay, I think conspiracy theories, in a way, help alleviate anxiety in the population, because I think people feel out of control and like we don't really know what's going on, and conspiracy theories help you think you do know what's going on and you're in on it and you have secret knowledge, and you're kind of trying to get everybody to fight on your team. So you kind of it makes you kind of an expert, I think. You can tell other people what you know and get people in on it. And I think it's kind of like a club, and it kind of helps people feel better about the world.
I would not disagree with that, where there is that kind of empowerment to feeling like I have the secret knowledge or the secret information. I know what's really going on. But I also think there's another level to it, and this is kind of more where I'm at, of a degree of distrust. I don't care who's running the government. It's a degree of distrust towards the government. Now, I'm not, crazy conspiracy theory with, like, yeah, my corkboard isn't filled with ribbons and, this is connected to who and how and lizard people. I'm not that level of conspiracy theorist.
Yep.
I enjoy them because I find them fun and neat, and, the level of evidence that we have to say lizard people and the amount of evidence we have to say Jesus? Yeah, there's more evidence for Jesus than there is lizard people. But the lizard people persist. And to me, that's always fascinating of, okay, well, what are these evidentiary thresholds for conspiracy theories? What are the evidentiary thresholds for Jesus and who he was?
Yeah.
So to me, it's always looking at the society where we do and don't want to believe, how we do and don't want to believe in things. And that's where I'm always interested in them. But I think there is a level that is just, what is the government doing? I don't trust the government. And are they really doing what they say they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something more?
Yeah, and I on that note, I think my favorite conspiracy is the deep state.
Oh.
I think
I didn't think you'd go there.
Well, it's... Yeah, I think there's definitely something behind everything. I mean, I think money is the easiest way to explain it, and money greasing the wheels to get certain people into certain schools and certain places, and I mean, like, it doesn't take a rocket science. Like, the whole college fiasco a couple years ago, where celebrities were paying people off to change SAT grades and things like that.
That was Aunt Becky from Full House.
Yeah. But she wasn't the only one.
And
she wasn't the only one.
No, she wasn't, but she's the one who they really nailed the floor on that one. Her and her husband.
Yeah.
And it was her daughters, and it wasn't just the SAT grades, it was like getting them in on a rowing scholarship, even though they'd never rowed before, things like that.
To me, if it happens in a little microcosm like that, then it's plausible to believe that it happens on a grand scale all the time. And, like, secret societies, and did you ever see The Skulls? Old Joshua Jackson
Yale's?
is in it, remember?
I don't think I saw that, but you're talking about the club at Yale now, right?
Yeah, The Skulls. And their idea is, like, if you're in there, then it's, that's how you get appointed to judges' seats and, the blah, 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 so I just, how can it not happen? I mean, it shouldn't happen, but...
But you also have things like, have you ever heard of Bohemian Grove?
No.
You've never heard of Bohemian Grove?
Is this a Christian, weird, culty thing?
No, this is a politician weird, culty thing. Okay, so, you need to look up Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'll give, like, the briefest overview that I can. And this is a thing. It happens. It happens out in California, but there is a secret gathering of influential people, actors, politicians, leaders from America. And they gather for, it's like a week-long camp, and they have this ceremony where they burn the cares. Is it burning the cares? Or they burn something in effigy, and, you know, we're not going to talk politics here, and it's just meant to be this kind of, at least surface level, what they tell us, is it's meant to be this no business time of being relaxed. And it's had some of our president, not current presidents that I know of, but like Nixon went, and I think Eisenhower went, and a few of the big guys throughout history have gone. FDR, I think he was another big name who had gone out there for a while. And it's a secret meeting. It's a little weird. It feels a little like Illuminati conspiracy kind of. This is the secret government. There's also, you ever hear of the Bilderberg Group?
Nope.
This is like secret Illuminati world government meeting leadership, kind of weird, and wow.
I know. See, I'm not very versed in
That surprises me a bit with where you go with the deep state and feeling like that's the conspiracy theory.
But just in a vague way. It's not like I've researched it. It's just like, that feels right. That probably happens.
Yeah, those two conspiracies, Bohemian Grove and Bilderberg, are the two that are off the top of my mind, where it's, okay, that's kind of the biggest Illuminati, Illuminati, deep state-esque, you know, secret world government conspiracy theories. And there is a great podcast that I listen to, and it's been fun. They've gone through all kinds of conspiracy theories. If you ever want to listen to it, and it's called Crackpot. One of my students recommended it to me because, again, my engagement with conspiracy theories is just, they're fascinating. It's interesting, the thresholds of evidence that we will believe.
Yeah.
So, but Crackpot, it's fun.
Okay.
It's two guys, they do research on all kinds of levels of conspiracy theories, from Bigfoot to UFOs.
So, I know people that...
Am I about to disappear?
Well, there was a couple years ago where I was told that... Did I hear about the red moon? The red moon coming. There's a red moon, and that's when Jesus is coming back. And this person that I know...
Kid alert. Welcome to the first 42 podcast commercial, brought to you by you, the listeners. Lindsay and I have been working on this podcast for a while now, and we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the feedback, the interactions we're having with you, our listeners, and we want to continue to grow that. We want to continue to work with you guys and to experience life together with you. So this commercial is primarily aimed at you guys of, hey, be a part of our conversation. Join us in social media. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at the 42 Podcast. Join us through the email of badtheologyproductions@gmail.com. And all of that can be found in the show notes now. Check out the YouTube channel. Leave some comments up there. Leave a rating and review for us on the podcast app that you use and listen to us with. That helps us not only understand what you're experiencing and engaging with this podcast, that helps us get more ears on this podcast, to get more voices in. And hey, if you want to join us, seriously, if you want to come on our podcast and talk with Lindsay and I, reach out, say hello. We'll say hi back. We'll have you on. And it doesn't take a huge setup to join us on the podcast. So, reach out through social media, get in touch with us, interact, because you are a significant part of everything we're doing. We want to have this as a community that is just exploring life in every way that we can. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of what we're planning, what we're building, what we're doing. You are important to us. Never underestimate that. You sitting there, I see you. You are important to us. So thank you for putting the time to listen and to join. All right, back to the conversation.
Yes, where was I? Anyway, this red moon thing, I guess, is biblical, and they heard about it from the pulpit, from their church, and that they should, change what they're doing financially and prepare and all that stuff for Jesus coming back because of the red moons. And my knee-jerk response is, blah, 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 blah. No. I'm not going to read your book about it. I don't want to hear about it. If Jesus is coming back, or it's the end of the world, I'll know. I'm sure I'll figure it out when it happens. you know?
We'll figure that one out. We'll see him coming. We'll be like, okay, got it. Well, but I mean, that even ties into, and we talked a little bit about this back. Oh, wow. I guess that was like back in March where we talked Revelations and end time, not conspiracies, but end time stuff how that plays out. And that ties into the LaHaye and Jenkins books with the Left Behind series, and Christians are always looking in that direction, but I feel like it's one of those things where we're going to be looking over here, but it'll happen over here kind of thing. It's where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty skeptical about conspiracy theories. Maybe I don't care enough, I guess, or something. I don't know.
No, and that's perfectly fine. I enjoy conspiracy theories not because I'm like, "Ooh, yay, lizard people, true." Dig 10 feet down and you'll find them. No, not that. I find them fascinating, just how they fit into culture. Mm-hmm. The stories that we build to explain things. So, all right, moving on. My favorite conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. Where would you peg me at with this one then? I'm curious.
I couldn't even guess. I bet you know who killed Kennedy, though.
Yeah.
I couldn't even guess. I don't know. Tell me.
Area 51.
Yeah, what's going on in there?
All kinds of neat, cool future stuff.
Yeah, I buy that.
Alright. So, I love...
Did you go storm?
The stories...
Were you there?
Hmm?
Did you go camp outside Area 51?
I have never been further west than Phoenix, Arizona. Mm. But, moving on from that. I think Area 51 is a neat conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. Because, everyone's like, oh, that's where we have the alien technology. The other place that some people think we have it is...
Roswell?
And it's somewhere in Ohio.
Oh.
No, Wright's Airfield in Ohio or something like that? I can't remember that one. Someone once told me, I found this interesting, and I, growing up in Western PA, I'm going aside, there's a weird relationship between Western Pennsylvania and Ohio. Mm-hmm. But anyway, someone once told me that the majority of astronauts have come from Ohio. And Ohio's where the Wright brothers were developing the first airplane. And what they then supplied with all of that, and Ohio's history with flight, is people are so desperate to leave that state, they're willing to use experimental technology just to get out, or to strap millions of pounds of explosive to their back and go to space, just to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Wright's Air Force Base or something like that in Ohio.
Yeah.
But the Area 51 is like the prime one where it's, okay, we have the alien technology, it's hidden there. But and this is where I find it interesting, where I feel like the government kind of has let that one sit and not been overly active in saying and opening the doors to Area 51 to disprove it, because I feel like the government is using that conspiracy to hide what they're really doing there.
Yeah. A decoy, or like, yeah, let's have everybody focused on Area 51 so they won't focus on, Springfield, Massachusetts, or something.
Right. Well, but even the implication of, okay, let's have everyone focus on Area 51, and going back to the Cold War days, where if the Russians think we have alien technology that we're breaking down and using to create, far superior jet technology or missile technology, or then that information war we're kind of winning in.
Yeah. I really agree with that. That sort of level of mystique and sort of keeping a shroud of I'm thinking of a word, somewhat malicious mystery, like it's kind of a negative thing, kind of a scary, dangerous thing you don't really know, so I think that's not too far-fetched.
And I feel like that's why they've even maintained that level to this day, where it's okay, do you really know what we have out there? And some amazing things have come out of Area 51. Best code name ever. Have you ever heard of the SR-71 Blackbird?
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest flying aircrafts ever built. The thing...
Is it the one that kind of looks like a triangle?
No, there's the B-2 and the F-117. Okay. Those are the two that look like a triangle. But those were also developed out of Area 51, Homey Air Base. Mm-hmm. And but the SR-71 was a recon plane. No missiles, no nothing. You got this thing up into the air. It looks like it shouldn't fly, but it had these two huge ramjet or scramjet, I forget what they called them, engines on the back, and it could do like Mach 12. I forget what its top speed was, but it was fast. Mm-hmm. And you had to wear a spacesuit to fly this thing.
Wow.
Because it would get up just to the top of the atmosphere and skim along the top. So we developed this thing. It was a spy plane. We used it. We called it Project Oxcart. Best code name ever. Because if you're looking and you're like, Project Oxcart? That's got to be the slowest, fattest thing ever. That's got to be a transport. But it's the fastest plane ever built. And it was developed out of Area 51. The F-117, which is that triangle-looking triangle, is really the best way to phrase it. It developed stealth technology for aircrafts today, like the F-22 Raptor. Mm-hmm. And that was developed out of Area 51. The B-2, there were developments out of Area 51. That place is a cutting-edge technology development base for aircraft. Mm-hmm. And hey, if you think you're going to see a UFO and you think you're going to see aliens, but what you're really seeing is a government black project for the next generation of airplane, which one are you going to associate?
Which one sort of confirms beliefs you already have? If you already believe in UFOs,
And that's kind of why it's my favorite, because it's okay. I don't think we have alien technology there. Mm-hmm. But I think we're developing some really neat stuff there. And I think the government's just kind of letting it stand as the...
Oh, yeah. It doesn't hurt them.
Alien base.
Yeah. Absolutely. I
we occasionally get the... we occasionally get the, hey, we're going to do the Naruto run out to Area 51, storm the base, find the aliens, set them free.
Say the Naruto run? What's that? Is that what I'm referring to back in the day? Back a couple whenevers ago? I have no idea.
Naruto is an anime character, and someone, I don't remember the exact connection, but someone was calling it the Naruto? I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Huh.
But he had a weird run, and they were talking about doing that. It's, his arms back and head forward, and you're running. it looks goofy.
Yeah. It's like that kid in elementary school.
Yeah. Well, and they were saying that's how they were going to storm, or there was a group of people saying that's how they were going to storm Area 51, is running like that, and it was just... I'm not sure your anime fandom defeats the government guns.
Yeah. You're not going to make it too far, I don't think.
No. But, hey, I mean, that was even a neat thing. Although, again, 2020 was, like, not the year to try and set the alien overlords free.
Yeah.
No.
Was that 2020?
No.
That's fine.
That was 2020.
Wow.
That was... Oh, I guess it is July already. Happy July 4th.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, well... Alright. Did you ever watch... We just watched these with the kids. Did you ever watch National Treasure?
I watched National Treasure, yeah. I enjoyed it. I watched the first one. And the second one. But I liked the first one a lot better.
Firsts are almost always better than seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That was a movie of conspiracy theories. But history conspiracy theories.
Which are cool. I love those. Yeah.
Okay, so you're cool with, like, historic conspiracy theories, with, like, the Knights Templar or the Masons at some point moved the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail over here.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Like Assassin's Creed stuff.
Did you read the Da Vinci Code back in the day?
I did. I dropped it in my bathtub. And I kept reading it. Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that book a lot. It was interesting.
That was a really good book. I enjoyed that. So there are historic conspiracy theories even that, I mean, we make movies on. We don't think twice about them. Like Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade and Indiana Jones and the, oh my gosh.
Temple of Doom.
Ark of the Covenant?
Ark of the Covenant. The Last Crusade. That's The Last Crusade.
No,
that's not.
Crusade
That's the
was the search for the Holy Grail.
The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
There it is. Oh my gosh. I gotta go put myself in time out. That was bad. Yes! I'm ashamed. You know, we have those historic conspiracies of, well, where is the Ark? Where is the Holy Grail? Do the Ark and the Holy Grail have the power that's culturally prescribed to them in those movies or through history? What do you think?
No.
No?
No, no, and I think it's sort of in the same logic as the Sons of Sceva that we were talking about last week, how they were trying to use the name of Jesus to cast out demons and they couldn't, so there's, the demons said, we know Paul and we know Jesus, but who are you? I think it's the same thing. Like, I think just an object used by Jesus or Moses and Aaron, I don't think that makes them holy. I think it's... I don't think so.
I think there's something, and I don't know what, but I do think there's something to the Ark of the Covenant.
It is a kind of a weird thing that it just sort of disappeared.
Well, yes, but you know, there is one group that claims to have it.
So, are they Muslim? Under the temple?
No. Nope. It is... Shoot. Sorry, I want to make sure I get this correct. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church. They claim to possess it, and they have it in a temple there, and they have one person who is the guard for the Ark of the Covenant. Only person who, like, has access to it. And if I have the details correct, I'd have to look it up and confirm this, but it's... there's a higher rate of blindness that happens with these guards who are, like, the bishops of the church kind of thing. Now, they've never brought it out to be verified. They've only kept it in seclusion and hidden and said that they have it. But in each of their temples across the world, not temple, I don't know what they call their churches, but in each of their churches across the world, they have a replica of the Ark.
And one of those replicas is the real thing.
Yeah, it's not the one that they're saying is you gotta find which one.
It's the one in, like, Miami, Florida. Or something.
Now, that one, I feel like there might be some credence to. I'm not 100%, because there is some argument that they were able to get the Ark broken down before the temple was destroyed and out of the city.
Who? You can't touch it without dying. Oh, actually,
yes,
if they used those pole things, I guess you could have, but...
Well, but the argument is that they actually physically broke it down into its basest components. You know, we're disassembling the thing and moving it. And there is an argument, two arguments. There's the Judeo-Christian one that is, okay, God's presence at this point had already left the temple and left the Ark. There's also the second argument that is just, this is an archaeological artifact and does not have the power that was ascribed to it outside of the cultural expectation. You know, if you say you touch the Ark and you build that into the culture and then you touch the Ark, you may just die of a heart attack from your own panic over the power of it. Now, that's not what I ascribe to, but that's the sociological cultural view.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
I believe that the Ark, I don't think the Ethiopians have it. I don't think we broke it down, snuck it away. I think the Ark just is gone. Poof. Not poof. That's not right.
We lost track of it during one of the, the Assyrian invasion or the Babylonian invasion. I mean, if it was an object that could be stolen, it would have been stolen then. And, either could have been melted down. I always pictured it as like one solid piece of gold. I don't know if it was overlaid in gold. Yeah, okay.
It was overlaid in gold, and I think it was acacia wood, and that was worked and then overlaid in gold. There were elements that if I'm remembering it all correctly, because the instructions are all there in Scripture. There are elements of it that are pure gold, but the box itself was a box overlaid with gold. Now, I don't think... We lost it to the Babylonians. I don't think the Babylonians would have just taken it...
Bless you. I'm glad you're editing this week.
Yeah. Sorry. I've had to sneeze for a while. Okay.
So the Babylonians, anyway, you don't think what?
I don't think they would have just been like, oh, look, shiny trinket, let's melt it down. The Babylonians, I really believe, would have capitalized on the cultural importance of the Ark. Which, we've seen in Scripture a couple different times where, Israel was captured. I think it was the Syrians who were like, yay, we got the Ark of the Covenant. And so they put it in their temple, and then their gods kept falling.
The Philistines. Yeah, the Philistines.
Okay, see?
Yep. And they got weird cancer tumor things. Like, they got tumors. Yep. It gave them cancer. Yep. What?
Which is, again, kind of why I'm like, I don't think the Babylonians would have just been like, yay, nice, pretty gold box.
So, can I just say something historically interesting? That...
No.
The people,
yes.
The Philistines, made 5 golden rats and put it in the Ark and gave it back to the Israelites, which is super...
I thought it was golden tumors.
I don't... Look it up, because I want to say it was rats. But it's just the association between a plague and rats is interesting. Because the Black Plague, you get tumors in your armpits, I think. You get, like, big glandular weird things. Is it rats?
We're both right. 5 golden tumors and 5 golden rats.
Interesting! Which is, I mean, that goes a long way for why people associate, well, obviously, the Exodus fiasco too, but associating the plague with punishment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. I remember the golden tumors. I did not remember the golden rats. It's giving me lots of other cultural, and it's not giving me the scriptural text. I'll have to find that one. That's... Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Conspiracy theories can be dangerous. I mean, I think conspiracy theories have been sort of a source. Engine's the wrong word, but it's like people used to think that, anti-Semites would use weird stories about the Jews and them like poisoning wells and being, all kinds of weird stuff. And I don't know if you'd call that a conspiracy theory or not. Like, how small does a conspiracy theory have to be? The reverse. How big does a conspiracy theory have to be a conspiracy theory and not just like a terrible rumor that resulted in, pogroms and things like that?
1 Samuel 6, verse 4. 1 Samuel 6, verse 4. Golden rats, golden tumors. All right, sorry. I wanted to finish chasing that down.
Sorry.
But I think you were right the first time when you said, how small does a conspiracy theory have to be for it to have that cultural change? Just even that so an area that my son and I are talking about right now is World War II. Mm-hmm. And he just started reading a book. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the title of it. We went and did a Barnes & Noble's run last night because we had to run out, take care of some things. And he couldn't find a book. And I gave him, no video game books, it has to be a book. So he couldn't find something that he wanted to read. He kept sticking on a couple different things. And so I said, how do you feel about me picking out a book for you? And he was brave enough to let me do that. And I picked a book it's a story of 2 young men from Denmark. They're 15 years old. At the invasion and the rise of the Nazi regime. Mm-hmm. And how these 2 15-year-olds fought back and helped give a foundation for the Denmark resistance.
What is this book? I want to read it too.
I don't know.
Text me later. Let me know.
Well, here, hold on. Alexa, drop in on living room.
Okay, dropping in.
Let's have a surprise guest.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll finish my story with this. As he's reading this book, he's starting to ask questions about how the Nazi Empire regime got people to think the way they did, how they were trying to influence people, because they're painting the rise of the Nazi influence in Denmark and then the rise of the resistance parallel together, and why they were, but why some people didn't fight, why some people did fight. It's been a great discussion. He's only had it for like 12 hours, and here he comes. He's already asked some really good questions.
Cool.
So, and I think that is where we can kind of see and ask that question of how big or small do conspiracies have to be. Hey, bud.
Hi.
So, Ray, come here. What have you thought about this book?
I do like it. And I am learning a bit of history, which is interesting. Well, okay, learning a bit of history is not. Well, okay, never mind. I'm
That's okay.
But I do think it's interesting that the boys that don't really use, like, rifles or guns or, like, real weapons to, like, sabotage the Nazis. They use, bikes.
Huh.
Yeah.
And everyday normal tools, like, one time they used shields to, cut a power line leading to a barracks, or with their bikes they smashed, like, signs leading to the headquarters that the Nazis set up in the Danish town.
Mm-hmm.
To confuse Nazis of, where they should go. And I think that's interesting because, like, these aren't everyday, well, I mean, these aren't, like, knives and guns and, well, rocket launchers. Rocket launcher.
All right. So the book is The Boys Who Challenged Hitler, Knud Pedersen, and the Churchill Club. And it's written by Philip Hoose. Hoose? I think that's how you pronounce that name. Hoose. Hey, thank you, young man.
You're welcome.
Say that author again.
Philip Hoose, Hoose.
So your son is super cute, and he sounds like
I'm
he has a
kinda
little bit of a
attached.
British accent. He's got a little bit of a British accent going on, and it's adorable.
I'm gonna cling to that. Okay. Yeah, okay. Alright. But yeah, we're kind of attached. You know, the return policy on kids sucks.
I know. Like, what the heck? By the time you figure it out, it's too late.
Anyway, no, so he and I have been reading that and talking about that period in history and how just little things turned a nation against a whole set of people groups, against the Jews, against anyone who was ideologically or racially different. And, you know, how big, how little does it have to be to balloon out to something that's controllable, something that lets you control the story? And that's even part of my interest in it, where it's, you know, again, how much is a distraction? How much is real?
Yeah.
I think we should question the government. I'm not saying, yay, everything the government does is sticking microchips in our arms. I'm just saying...
So, I think the thing to note and to take caution with Hitler is Hitler has said way back in the day exactly what he was going to do. And nobody stopped him. He said what he was going to do. So, I think I take a lot away from that is when these people and say what they're going to do, I think we should pay attention because there's nothing too crazy. I don't know. People say crazy things and you're like, they can't really mean defund the police, can they? I mean, do they understand what that means? You know, we think there's no way that's going to happen. Okay, well, if they want to rework society in a socialist framework, then that's exactly what they're going to have to do. Oh, sorry.
Well, and I think I do think that there are a group of people actively, and I'm not going to align this with a political ideology right and left. I'm saying this right down the middle, that there will always be a group of people who have ideologies that are right and left that want to reshape and remake whatever form of government exists into a different form, and will use whatever manipulation tactics, whatever tools they can get their hands on, for good or bad, to reshape what they perceive as not acceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree. And far right, it's called fascism, and far left, it's called socialism. And,
you know, I don't think it works. I think the end result will always be that the manipulation tactics are revealed. I think the end result will always be that the errors of ideologies compound on each other,
Yes.
creating distinctions between people groups and the cultural other that will always create. And this is where I'm enjoying that book with my son. And I think I'm going to pay for this when he gets to his teenage years. But I'm going to be proud of him for it because I feel like I'm slowly building a resistance fighter.
Yeah! Heck yeah!
Yeah, but when he's a teenager, and I've created a resistance fighter, and he sees me as the oppressive regime...
You're gonna have to make sure that doesn't happen, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah! But I mean, I'm trying to teach him how to think critically about the material that's being presented to him. I'm trying to do this with both of my kids. And again, this is why I like conspiracy theories, because it's okay, let's think critically about this.
Mhm.
And yeah, I referenced lizard people like 5 times, but, you know, let's think critically about some of these conspiracies, and...
Oh!
Is
yes,
it...
Yes, yes, yes. Good.
Oh?
That's really good.
What was the...
Okay, well, I 100% love what you're saying, and I actually have a prepared something just along that line of how to think critically.
Well, and, you know, I didn't want to talk conspiracy theories today because I wanted to break out, you know, my awesome craft project of the morning of my tinfoil cap and be like, yay, I am crazy, but it's... I think it's the invitation into critical thinking of our culture, of our government, of the stories that we surround ourselves with, good and bad. You know, where are the holes, where are the lies, where are the truths, where's what's going on?
Yeah.
And so I don't think conspiracy theory is bad. I don't think it is this default position of being insane. I think it is this default position of,
Yeah.
let's ask questions.
It's a good starting point. Well, right now, the possibility that China actually released COVID, that's, you know, at one point, it's a conspiracy theory. It kind of depends who's talking. But what we do with that information is not a conspiracy theory. That's looking for empirical evidence. It starts off as a conspiracy or an idea, but you can't leave it like that. And I think anyway.
Well, and China, all right, you brought it up. I have to. China is problematic as a country. They're hugely problematic for me because you've got what's happening to the Uyghur people right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been kind of quietly following this for a while, of China's doing re-education camps. They're doing a systemic re-education, breeding out and destruction of a people group and religious ideology.
Yeah.
Because they don't fit what the Communist Party there wants.
Mm-hmm.
And nations around the world have just been sitting quietly because we don't want a war with China.
Are we ever going to learn?
No. And I'm not advocating, yay, let's go to war with China, but we need to draw some lines in the sand and say, no, we're done doing business with you. I mean, the whole, everything that in the past year has happened with Hong Kong being, going from an economic free zone that had its own, you know, what did they say? It was 2 systems, 1 government, 2 systems, something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's just 1 government and the same level of oppression. I mean, there was an exodus from, I think China is problematic, and I struggle with that. Just, and that's not, oh no, they're communist, which we should actually talk about communism, because...
That's my goal. That's one of the things we need to talk about. I'm desperate. I'm right there. I think it's... You said
Can you talk about
Go.
Can you talk about communism with me without going McCarthy?
Yes. I'm not gonna I won't accuse anyone in particular of being communist. I just want to talk about what do they actually say? What are they actually saying? What do they actually want? And things like that. That's what I want to talk about. But
well, are you talking the government, or are you talking the ideals of communism as they are on paper? What they were.
Yep. So
back with Karl Marx and
yeah, I think different governments have sort of focused on different things about it, but I think I would love to compare how, Russia tried it, how Cuba's tried it, Venezuela's tried it, blah blah blah. I just want to learn. I want to learn, and this is something that sort of scares me, and especially because of the extreme left leanings that are happening now. It kind of makes me a little afraid for people that actually believe that free speech is good and that believe in that everybody's equal. Those sentiments aren't assumed anymore, and that's kind of scary for me and for thinking about my kids and what kind of world they're going into. And I want to be armed with knowledge and know how to teach them. That's why I really learn. But can I tell you something cool? If this isn't the right time, we can edit around this and you can take it out. But there's this really cool thing that Carl Sagan wrote. He calls it the Baloney Detection Toolkit. Do you remember this?
Yeah, you referenced that.
I did a whole podcast on it at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was back when you had the Defector running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you even sent me stuff on that when we were debating evolution and creationism and...
So we don't have to go over it now, because you can just...
No, go for it.
Well...
Talk about it.
If you have any comments or things you want to talk about with it, but he wrote it in a book called Candle in the Dark, or Science, A Candle in the Dark, and which is a really good book. But so his baloney toolkit, number 1, wherever possible, there must be independent confirmation of the facts. So this is kind of common sense, and the reason I'm sharing it is because taking something that is an idea, like, white people are bad. Let's take that idea and be more specific, right? However, if you can get more specific, like, okay, in what way? Let's talk numbers. But take it from this idea, this vague idea, which is, I don't know, it's not really a conspiracy theory exactly, but let's put that through the toolkit and see if at the end of it, it still stands. Because you can't make statements like that. Anyway, so 1, wherever possible, there must be independent confirmation of the facts.
Yep.
Number 2, encourage substantive debate.
Okay.
Number 3, arguments from authority carry little weight. Like Dr. Fauci. Actually, he says, Sagan says, at best you have an expert, but that doesn't mean, that's not the end of it. An expert is just an expert. That doesn't mean they have all knowledge on a subject. They need to be questioned and things.
Okay.
4, spin more than one hypothesis. So is there any other way or any other situation or any other explanation for the idea?
Yep.
5, try not to get overly attached to your hypothesis. 6, quantify. And this is a direct quote. If whatever it is you're explaining has some measure, some numerical quantity attached to it, you'll be much better able to discriminate among competing hypotheses. What is vague and qualitative is open to many explanations. Of course, there are truths to be sought in the many qualitative issues we are obliged to confront, but finding them is more challenging. I like that. I like that a lot. I like statistics and numbers and things like that because it's so hard to argue them. Harder to argue them. And you can see cause and effect better, and you can compare different statistics against each other and see, okay, what's the cause and effect, and is this really the cause of this problem, or let's see different ways of looking at it. 7, if there is a chain of argument, every link in the chain must work, not just most of them. 8, Occam's razor. This convenient rule of thumb urges us when faced with two hypotheses that explain the data equally well to choose the simpler. 9, always ask whether the hypothesis can be, at least in principle, falsified. Propositions that are untestable, unfalsifiable, are not worth much. I like that one a lot. So, I think if people would kind of take that in their pocket while watching the news, or commentators, I think that would protect you from making a lot of crazy, wild assertions without proof.
There's an argument to be made that we don't, and I'm saying this, remember the movie Men in Black?
Mm-hmm.
Great movie. Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones. First one was good. Second one got weird. Third one got weirder. But in that first movie, I always remember this because my father, when he watched it, this was a line that stuck out to him that he always quoted, that now I always quote. When Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones' character go and they're sitting on a bench after all of the testing and can he be a man in black and, you know, aliens exist, the world is not what you perceive it, and they're having that conversation. Tommy Lee Jones' character looks at Will Smith and says, people are stupid. A person can be smart, but people are stupid. And speaking to that kind of herd mentality, too, once you get people in this zone of input that is en masse, the intelligence level just bombs out.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I look at as well and go, en masse, there's not a move towards critical, rational thinking. There's emotional reactions. And I'm not saying this of any singular political ideology right now. I think both of them are in this space that is emotional reacting, not critical thinking. And that disturbs me more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I don't think when you react emotionally, you're using every rational and critical thought process you have as a tool. I think it's easier to just react. So, you know, again, that's kind of why conspiracy theories are fun for me, because they're I view them as an invitation into, well, let's ask questions. Let's have fun. Let's engage in something that is, okay, maybe it's a little off the wall of, do aliens exist? Well, we talked about that, and I think that there's something, but I don't think we have technology out at Roswell and Area 51. Critical thinking. And Sagan's premise, the 10 rules you just laid out, I think that is a very good path of critical thinking. It's not one that I traditionally use, but that's what we need to do, is have critical thought, have the ability to disagree. You and I haven't really disagreed for a while, but we've had disagreements. We've had that ability to disagree. And here we are. I don't know. Does that make sense? Or am I rambling?
Yeah, no, I'm curious, what is your process for critical thinking? When somebody does give an assertion, I mean, besides, like, the Bible, do you have a way to put it through the ringer?
I guess first and foremost is, and this might be the danger of what I do professionally, I don't look at what they're saying first behind, let me think how to phrase this clearly. I don't look at the material they're presenting. I start asking questions of them, where they're at, where their heart is, kind of to delineate and draw out where the emotional reactions are and where those kind of trigger points will be for the emotional reaction that goes back into this critical thought process they have. Because once you determine those, it's kind of, it's almost understanding what the light switches are of, okay, these are the ones that are going to cause reactions that are going to be negative or will draw out a negative for them. So how do I balance that so that we can navigate the topic, we can navigate the question without going into weird emotional spaces? And those emotional spaces are valuable and they need to be addressed as well, but you kind of have to do two different approaches for that. They run parallel, but there are two different approaches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
And then, well, once you kind of have that mapped out, you can then, evaluate what is the critical thought, what is the idea, the response, navigate that topic, and then also run parallel on emotional navigation of why do we think this way? Is there a deep hurt or trauma or fear that is instigating what is a positive or negative reaction over here? Is there the fear of causing an emotional hurt, trauma, or that's causing the emotional reaction over here?
But what if you can't talk to the person? It's just like a YouTube video or an article or hearsay. So how do you process through information and test it against what is true, or if it's true, or valid? How do you do that when you can't interrogate who you're talking to?
That one's just opening up the floodgates where it's okay. I got to take in everything.
Yep.
Because people will always reveal themselves. You and I podcasting, bits and pieces of who we are get revealed every week, intentional and unintentional. And you and I have had conversations on this because even the nature of our friendship, our family's friendships, have changed. Not in negative ways, but there's an openness that has entered into our lives with our listeners, hi listeners, with you and I. And, there are things that you and I have had conversations about that we don't have on the mic because the openness that is here, those aspects of our personality. Perfect example. You cut it out last week, but we made a reference to covenant.
Yeah.
And I had a very kind of, I don't know, what would you call that? Blasé, weird,
a little hysterical,
emotional, hysterical,
somewhat hysterical laugh. I mean, but I don't mean funny. I mean, I could tell there was baggage behind it, but I didn't really know what was going on. That's why I took it out.
Yeah. Well, and you and I then had a conversation about that, and it was, okay, you found one of those emotional triggers that informs an area of critical thought for me. Mm-hmm. And why? And we talked about that privately. We went through that, and did I intend to have that conversation with you at the time? No. But who people are is always revealed, and that happens the more you do things like podcasting, the more you do things like YouTube presenting. The nature of who you are will always come out. So in that kind of situation, it's just, okay, a data dump. You got to go through and you got to watch everything, because then you're going, okay, well, here's where that got a little weird, and do they ever inform on this? Oh, yes, they do. Here's why that got weird. Here's where that personal story comes in, and it's building that image. And instead of having a two-way conversation that's a little more direct, and a little more intentional, now you're just having a one-way conversation, and you're building it piece by piece, slower, and kind of trying to have that two-way conversation without ever having it.
My
Do you
kids.
hear little footsteps?
I hear my kids. Yeah.
And
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
it's just processing who people are. It's processing why, how, and what we do to make sense of our world, to make sense of our story, our place in this world. That's how I view it. So, and it's complex. It requires relationship. It requires interaction. It requires time. Always. Because we are complex.
Yeah.
We're stories upon story upon story. Which is why I get a kick out of conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting.
So. Okay. Here we are.
Yeah.
Conspiracy.
It's been real.
I took my tinfoil hat off and now I'm tongue-tied.
Psh, serves you right.
And by the way, just for clarity, it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay. Okay.
Alright. Anything else?
No. I'm done. I'm done talking.
Oh, wow.
My word quota has been filled.
Well, enjoy seeing your family today. It was a good talk.
I will, and you take care, and we'll chat about upcoming things. later.
Hey, good things. Good
All right.
things.
See
All
ya.
right, have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the 42 podcast. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, and if you want to join in on the conversation, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter to add your voice to the conversation. Thank you.